I feel kind of weird saying all of these things because it sounds pretentious or high horsed or judgy, but we do have to talk about them because it's the reason why we're all in the situation that we are right now. It's unchecked ego, not being willing to let go of our taxes and our resources so that they can just benefit from our lives, our exploitation of our time away from our families that sometimes we didn't even get to choose. We were forced into those families, or we were forced to accept a reality that was true before because there wasn't really a lot of information about you being able to do whatever the fuck you want with your life. It just had to be done in a certain way, and if you didn't, then you were cast away or you were called a witch or a Satanist or whatever terms the scared, awful people you often use to describe something that they don't like. They see in others what they don't see in themselves, and it's fucking scary that this keeps on happening in an era where communication is not impossible anymore with one another. We have the internet and everything that comes along with it, and it's the best tool that we have to be whatever it is that we choose to believe that we believe in because of we were forced into believing it for the same reasons because it had to be done because that's the right way because we don't question anything about what other people have said in the past. Apparently they hold the whole truth and nothing but the truth. It's so convenient how they're an all-loving God that they believe that is true on all of the religions that I've actually noticed. When it comes to ego, it doesn't matter what God they believe in or what prophet they say that they worship. It's all about being right, about theirs being the true religion when they are all telling you the same thing. They are telling you that you are a person, that you exist, that you need to love yourself so that you can learn to be at peace with one another and love other people the way that they deserve to be loved, the way that any kind of healthy personal experience is supposed to be filled with love and why not pain because love unequivocally will mean pain one day, but that doesn't mean that you don't get to enjoy it. It doesn't mean that you get to waste your life in rules and limitations that maybe for the times were okay for when the books were written, but they're not anymore because there's no need for violence anymore. We have the internet again. We have the best resource that we could have actually come up with, which is being able to understand each other with apps and all these beautiful things that the technology has given us as a species. Yeah, the greedy fuckers are always going to ruin everything and make the technology impossibly expensive so that only a certain amount of people are entitled to or are able to acquire that technology. And it's done because they are claiming to be the most intelligent, the smartest people alive or that has ever existed, and they will never admit to you that they come from a monkey or that we are monkeys in a sense, in a full sense of the spectrum, right? So they are the ones that oppose those ideas, but they're the first ones. They are the first ones to throw a book at you, in your face, judging you, telling you that you are wrong because you wish to be a happy person instead of a greedy one. That you're not stupid for thinking that. That they don't believe that at all. They believe that if you don't fuck somebody over, or that if you don't take advantage of somebody, so that you can have more profit, or if you don't lie to somebody or exploit them or make them work under horrible conditions so that you can make a profit. It's not possible to view it another way for them, right? It's the only way that you are able to be smart. You're not a pendejo anymore if you do think that. Or we say in Spanish, el que no tranza no avanza, which is again that one who doesn't actually screw somebody over or doesn't do something shady to somebody. They are not. If they don't do that, then they won't be able to be successful in life. And then success, that word has been hijacked, like the word truth. that the Orange Nero guy has actually sequestered from us, and it's using it for what it was intended, most likely for religious purposes, which is just to keep people in control and check, and not having them question anything because it's not convenient for the bottom line of the companies who make war and products with ingredients that they rather be cheap than healthy for us, and they use all their marketing skills to and psychology tricks to make us believe them that they are not evil, that they are not the problem, that they are the most civilized people that have ever existed. When they act like all of us would with money in a certain case, right? But not most of us. Not most of us. I'm really sure because I've met a lot of people and throughout my life, and it's been 45 wonderful years. It's been hard and it's been horrible at times, but it's been worth every single penny and every single amount of minutes that I have lived. And they don't understand it that way. They understand job security. They understand being able to provide for one's family, but they don't understand that probably that wasn't the family that they needed to be with to be happy. It was either convenience or beauty, which are always superficial, or money, or greed, or revenge, or I'm not sure what other fucking crazy ideas that we always come up with to say that we're in love with somebody, but all of those are false. In love, there's no jealousy. In love, there's no limitation of freedom. There's no limitation of personality. You are who you are. If somebody loves you like that, then that's great. If you're an asshole, then fuck you, right? Nobody's gonna like you, and just don't be upset when nobody wants to be with you. And that's the point. And I'm not talking only about a marriage or being with somebody. It's just in general. If you're a dickhead, then nobody's gonna be with you or want to be with you willingly. No, at least. So that's why you don't understand love, because you don't have it in your life. You are forced into a relationship. You are forced into having a family that you probably shouldn't have because you're not ready or because you just don't want any children, and that's fine, man. That's a good decision. Being gay is another decision that is actually. This is gonna be a hard point to get across, but it's actually true. A lot of people that are at the far right spectrum of the deal, they are a lot of there are a lot of gay people there. They overflow the use of apps that are of gay nature in places that you go to meet, to go to congresses. So what are we talking about, right? That's the biggest proof that a lot of them are not actually living the lives that they want to live. They are being pressured into being somebody else, something that they're not, and they think that that's okay because that's what their parents did, and that's how it's supposed to be, but it's not. That's why all the fucking psychological problems, that's why if you notice in let's quote unquote it, high society, the limitations are awful in that regard. People are just not themselves. They want to pretend to be successful. They want to pretend to be somebody so that people like them, so that people pay attention to them, and they end up losing themselves. And that's what it means. It doesn't mean to lose yourself in a forest. It means that you're losing yourself because you're not you. You're not being you. You're being controlled by others' wishes and expectations and the opinions that you think that they have, and the fears that you fall into that categorize as el que dirán, right? What they will say. Well, whatever the fuck that the opinion of other people matters to me is beyond me at this point in my life. And I understand that being a teenager is hard. It's when you're developing a personality, but they don't even have a chance because they don't have the struggles that normal people do. So they don't have empathy, and they don't have the luxury of just knowing what it feels like to do the right thing, because they're pressured into doing otherwise, and it's hard to come out of those circles. And I've experienced those circles before, and it's hard to not want to be liked by people. It's hard. to be mean to somebody that you like just because it's the right thing to do according to your peers, right? If they hate somebody, then you should hate him as well, just because it's your team. And a very dangerous thing that we do to ourselves is, especially in religious and political aspects, if your team is not the right color or you're not the right politi- political party supporter, then you're my enemy, and that's fucking insane because we're not enemies. We're just people trying to live a life that's worth living, and most of us are numbed by the fact that we are not allowed to be ourselves just because of what other people might think, and it doesn't matter. People say awful things about me. People think that I'm this guy because of how I dress, and I don't care how I dress. It doesn't matter how you dress to me. It shouldn't matter. Sometimes you want to feel pretty, and that's fine, and you go out there and do your thing, but it doesn't have to be something to be forced on somebody to do to be able to enjoy their company. If you're smelly on that, then that's a different story. That's respect from your stance into what you bring into the community. So that's a different story. But when it comes to just dressing in a certain way just because you don't care what other people say of you, is has been the best defense mechanism against awful people, because they judge me and I see their face and I see their judgment of me, and that's fine. I don't care what they think. I just know that I cannot trust that person because they will most certainly do something awful to me if they get to know me, right? Because they won't be agreeing with me on a lot of stuff because they don't agree that living your own life is the only way to go. Then you're wasting it all otherwise, if you're doing otherwise, if you're doing what other people expect of you instead. And sometimes that works because parents are not malintentioned to guiding you to a situation in which they think that it's not going to be beneficial for you. They're wishing your good, your wealth, you're being at peace with yourself. That's what we as parents, at least that's my experience. That's what I wish for my son, and that's why I invest time in him. I actually play with him. I talk to him. Then I do all this every single day, and I try to help him with his homework when I can, and I prepare his food, and I'm there for him, and that's something that I think it's important, and I think that that's something that all those children lack, because apparently it's more important to be at a job than being with your family. And I'm not saying that I'm not lucky in being able to do that, but I'm saying that we should all be searching for that kind of purpose in life, because that's the only way to live it and actually enjoy it and actually be happy and not dealing with feeling jealousy or feeling envy or feeling afraid, because you understand that you're living what is supposed, and that's what it's supposed to be done. You're not supposed to be wasting your time away from your family and being afraid of things and being monopolized into investing your time in making somebody else wealthier than they already are, right? And they never share their wealth. They are always exploiting your time, and that's not the experience for everybody, but it's an experience for a lot of people. And then you think that that's normal, right? That's how your parents did it, so that's the way to go. And I kind of think that it's a different deal for us now, because they didn't have the internet, they didn't have this kind of level of communication abilities that we have right now, that we're probably wasting, because we have a lot of apps that are able to easily and for free actually teach you stuff and allow you to communicate with other people in other places of the world that you may have never even known that it existed, or that you may never be able to go, or but some of that you may be able to go and actually get to know the people over there, and we noticed that when you do that, and at least that's been my experience, and that's been the experience that I've seen on TV and movies that some people depict, and there must be some truth to it, that people everywhere are the same, are just trying to be at peace. At least the majority of us are. And that's what the religion is supposed to be teaching you, not to be afraid of death, but to embrace it as something that will be happening to you at one. And that's something that I think about every single day of my life, and that's why I try to enjoy it. because I know that day is coming. Not sure when it's going to come, but I know it's going to be afraid of things and letting people treat me in a certain way just because I want to be liked or appreciated by them. I don't do what I do for them. If they get to enjoy what I do, that's great. I mean, I appreciate the attention, and I appreciate the interest, but that doesn't go beyond that, and it shouldn't, because I'm not special, and they're not special either. We're all the same. I mean, we are special in a certain way for each of our abilities and wants and likes and passions, but we tend to ignore that as well. So we become the prisoners of this system that forces you to be somebody that you're not, and that's what drives a lot of mental health issues. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm not a psychologist, but it sounds logical that if you're not yourself, you're gonna lose a big part of your life, and you're gonna regret it at one point, because you're gonna realize one day that you are able to do whatever the fuck you want, no matter what your parents want of you, or no matter what your friends or aunts or grandmothers or grandfathers want of you. That's not important at all. They are well intentioned. I'm not going to tell you that they're not, or that they're evil. They are not evil. They want the best for you. I'm 90 something percent sure of that, because there are people that suck, and that think that their kids are a way of them being remembered, or them being a legacy, or a dynasty, or whatever the fuck their ego is telling them that it's actually important. And it's not about that at all. It's about being present for the people that you create, because you're creating consciousness. You're not creating just a rabbit or a frog or something like that. It's actual consciousness. I'm not even sure that animals don't have a conscience. But what I can assure you is that your children do. And they are people waiting for you to guide them to being an enjoyable person, a person that enjoys life as well, and a person that is able to communicate with others and understand them, instead of being thought of as their rivals or their enemies. It's an awful thing to teach your children about enemies and all that stuff. And you do that every day when you go to your churches, because they don't teach you about love and understanding. They teach you about them being the right way, or the way to go, because they are the ones that have the whole truth, right? Even though their prophet is the same, or is the same, and the prophet isn't even the point. The point is the actual message. That's the whole idea. Love yourself and love others. That's what most of the religions that I've actually gotten to read about actually say, and that's what you're supposed to be following. But you rather pick a team or a color or a flag or a geographical accidental delimitation that you have nothing to do about it, and you take all of those things to portray yourself as an enemy of somebody just because they think different than you, or they speak different than you, or they look different than you. And again, if you say that you're racist, then you're wrong, because you're not a racist. You're just dumb. You just don't know how the body works, how you human and how animals work. Your ancestors didn't have enough sunlight for their skin to be able to process vitamin D, so that the skin adapted. It made itself clear. Not sure if that made it kind of balance it out, but that's the way that it went, and it worked. That's evolution. That's what we do as animals. Animals do it all the time. That's why we have dogs. That's why we have the furry friends that we have, because wolves started to want easy food instead of actually going out and being what they were, right? Carnivorous. So that's some sort of consciousness, right? That's adapting, and it's being able to withstand the difficulties of our weather and our changing patterns and all that. And it's an interesting life, and it's something that is worth actually living, but we are not doing so because we're trapped in a world in which we make ourselves think that the people who don't have any kind of consciousness or any kind of self-worth are the best answer for our problems. They are the cause of those problems. They are the ones who complain more about them, but they end up being the causes of all of those problems that they are so scared about. And then they blame us, the ones that they actually exploit their time out of with their companies, the one that they actually poison with their cheap and toxic products that they put in our food and our the things that they sell us to take care of ourselves and to take care of our homes. They don't care as long as that it's profitable. They will damage your intent in that regard. They will make you numb to those kind of situations because that's the ways that it's supposed to be. But I promise you, just think about what has happened recently, even in a global scale. Countries have actually gone and overthrown those kind of people from being able to move forward with their intent, because it's important that we don't let them think that they are invincible. That's why they sequestered that word success. That's why they don't think they are the mediocre people that they are. That's why they call poor people who they exploit mediocre, just because of not having the means to have an education, because they've made laws against having a free education system. And then we have people who don't care to teach as well. That I admire a lot of teachers. I've had a lot of great teachers in and outside of school and in my life, and that's been great. They've taught me a lot, and they've been really appreciated. But I also have teachers who just go and read or make you read or make you stand and read out the stuff, and that's what their teaching method is. And they go so by the book that they end up losing themselves as well, because they don't like to do their job. Same goes in the medical profession. I've seen medics that are awesome people, and they do care about people. They care about healing you, not about keeping you as a customer. And that's the kind of people that are worth it. But then you have the legacies, right? The nepotism products. If your parent wishes you to be something, then you go and abides by those wishes, and you don't care about yourself because that's what daddy wants from me. Otherwise, he doesn't give me an inheritance, or he's not gonna love me. And believe me, man, it's better to be loved at a distance than you hating yourself for the rest of your life just because you weren't brave enough to do what you wanted to do with it. You fell into the trap of fame and fortune and wealth, and you didn't care about the empathy that you needed to have to be able to grow as a person every day of your life, not just as a professional, but also as a part of your community. That you will abandon the minute that you actually get some money, just because you think that that's the right thing to do. Instead of investing back in the community that made you who you are, you just go ahead and move to the place where all the wealth is already, and you keep on giving yourselves money that way, and that's why we don't see it trickling down anymore. That was the idea that Reagan, that dork of a president, actually, sorry for saying his name, but I'm not well into it, so it doesn't matter. But since that guy, everything has gone to the crapper, and it's been horrible, and it's been unfairly balanced to those guys again, because they never lose, because they are the ones that are able and willing to cheat and lie their way into whatever the fuck they want, and we think that that's success. Come on, man. And I don't know, at least in my experience, that, or for what I've read, the greatest wealth hoarders that have been, and I'm not talking about great in the great as you are super awesome. I'm talking great in terms of big. The ones that hoard the most are the ones that are more inclined to those kind of personalities. And I'm not saying that only in that regard, because in poverty we also have those kind of situations. In the middle class, they also have the same the limitations mentally, because they think that success is reaching wealth. Doesn't matter who you trample over. They seem to think that that's the way to go, and that's not it at all. You're just draining yourself as well out of a great experience of understanding how helping others is actually beneficial for you and your health. And then you get the heart attacks as well, and that's also a symptom of you being stressed out all the time, because you're not sure who the fuck you are. And we end up admiring that kind of sociopath it's a hoarder, right? That has the power to manipulate people just because they own stuff that their grandparents or the ones before them actually cheated their way into, or cheated or lied their way into, or obtained through illegal or deceitful means, and then screwed over somebody else to be able to do it. And we understand that as success. And again, it's a word that doesn't mean much anymore, because even the awards that they give themselves is it's all influenced by interests and convenience and all that. It's happened more than once that judges do vote in favor of who it's beneficial for them, not who actually won or who they think is the best, because that's the way it's supposed to be, right? But who it's convenient for us to support so that we can keep getting funded. And we fall into this depressing fucking cycle of convenience and of greed and power and control, and for what? They're not happy. They're making us miserable. The ones that we that are able to try to live a peaceful life and a happy life, we're stuck in debt and with economic problems, or not being able to afford possibly an emergency, because everything keeps getting up in value. And who places the value on things? And we are. Then what the fuck are we doing? We turn something as great of an idea as socialism and capitalism and communism, and turn it into shitty things, awful things that nobody wants, and nobody expects to change, because that's the way it's always been, apparently. And it's been probably for too long that we have had those ideas in place, and keep on destroying lives and experiences, and making them the potential great mentalities and abilities and imaginations into dust and lost forever, just because of poverty or inflation or some kind of pedophilic ring ruining everything for everybody else. And it's sad to imagine that that's our reality right now, and unfortunately it is. And it sounds dystopian, but it's really easy to change if we just stop allowing them to be in charge. They don't know what love is, so they won't be able to take care of people. It's that simple. Again, keeping it simple. It's people not being able to understand what love is, and that's why they think that love is betrayal and jealousy and hardship and envy and all that, and it's not. None of that is true. So they think that everything is hard, and because they're not themselves, that they're being somebody else, and everything gets harder for them, because it is. Of course it's gonna get hard on somebody trying to live a life. It's depressing how many people think that the midlife crisis is normal. It's not normal. It's a symptom of something that's terribly wrong, because your life is going to end sooner than you probably expect, and that brings a lot of pain into your experience, because you don't know what to do with that idea. It's awful to think that that's the truth, but it is. I mean, you're gonna go away someday, and that's fine. Just make it worth it. Every single fucking day of your life, there will be times that you won't have the character, probably, or the will to do something, but just take a day off, man. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Women are stressed out all day, surely by our inability to be ourselves, because that brings a lot of anger issues and insecurities and all that stuff, and we make them the victim of our fucking frustrations, and that's fucking awful. And I've seen it a lot of times. That's not something that somebody talked to me about or told me. I've experienced it myself, and it's fucking awful. That's why I've never hit a woman, and I never wish to hit one, but I discuss things with them, but I never towards fighting. It's silly to think that fighting is going to resolve anything. It never does. It probably even ends an experience that may have been beneficial for your own life, if you just got to listen instead of getting upset because the idea sounded wrong to you. And that's the way that it actually happens most of the time. It's your ego being unchecked and thinking that it's supposed to be doing better than you're doing at that time. Everything gets better, man, if you're patient enough, and if you're willing to be yourself. I promise everything will be okay. I promise everything will be going your way, but not in the egotistical way, but in the way that you actually wish to live your life, away from other people's judgments and understandings of what your life's supposed to be. Move away from that idea. It's not worth it. I really, believe me, it's not. It's better to take the hard decision. It's more beneficial for you than to take the easy one and not living a life worth living, or not actually breathing the air that you're breathing, and not experiencing the great sensation that being with somebody that you love is, in all aspects, even physical ones. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully it makes sense, but I think we could do better because we are the biggest brain that's ever existed, and we could be the most civilized. We have the tools to be. We just need to stop believing in their absurdities and then lies, and just focus on community and loving one another and loving ourselves, because that's where the key of everything relies on. The Beatles were right. Every single prophet that has actually ever existed is right. There's no need for religion or cults or anything like that. The truth is there in every single cult and every single religion that I've actually gone to read about. The truth is somewhere there, but it's the message that matters. It doesn't matter who tells it to you. That's fanatism, and that's a fanatic, being a fanatic, and that's not beneficial for you or for that other person, because we've seen what happens when that becomes an overstatement in somebody's life. And we need to just realize that we can do better. We are able to. We have one of the greatest and biggest brains that have ever existed. We just need to show it. We need to stop killing the people that try to make things better just because it's not profitable. We need to stop killing the people who say that we need to love ourselves because it's essential for us to be able to do so. But again, it's not convenient for the profit margin. So let's keep everything as awful as it can be, so that we can keep being entertaining and distracting enough to disregard our own crimes and our own responsibilities and corruption. And that's not success. Again, that's the most mediocre mentality that I ever experienced or been a part of, or actually getting to know about. And well, again, hopefully this makes sense, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.